you. And now, would you please be seated? This is normally the time of our second hymn, but this morning we're going to be singing a song that's not in your book. And so we're going to teach that to you. Debbie's talked often about 1,000-voice choir. Well, this is the day. You're all going to be in the choir. This is a song called This Little Light of Mine, I'm Going to Let It Shine. We're going to sing the first verse for you, for those of you who are not familiar with this, so that you'll see how it goes, and then we'll teach you the other verses successively. So this is how it goes. Instruments, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that verse. We're going to stand up in just a minute and sing the whole thing straight through, but let's see if we've got this. If you hear the harmony, just sing out. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Is Spirit told me to let my light shine. Spirit told me to let my little light shine. Now, when you have silence in a gospel tune, you want to let the silence, the rhythm of the silence, pulse through you, and don't use that as a time to speed up or skip over it. So you feel that. Spirit, yes she did, told me that it's time.
Let it
Ready? Give me B flat, please. My, ready? My bright light. Pretty little light. Yeah, let's do it again. Ready? Okay, so the first verse is the regular. This light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. You sing it 3 times. And then the next one is, remember, Spirit, rest, told me. And then the last one is bright light, my light. And then bright light, my light, and then our chord, right? Let's just try the third verse all together one time before we put the whole thing together. Bright light. Ready? 1, 2, 3, sing. Bright light. I'm gonna let it shine. Bright light, my light. I'm gonna let it shine. Bright light, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. That's great. Okay, everybody stand up. And now I need to speak with you about swaying. The choir is going to step right and then step left. Okay? And what you're going to do is go with the motion you see. So you'll be stepping left and then right. Okay, and then after we sing the third verse, we'll sing the fourth and the fifth until it just gets too high for us and we just have to drop out. Okay, here we go. From the beginning. Ready, instruments? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let
Felt good. It felt good to cut loose, just to let go. I think that's what it means to let your light shine. It's just to let go. Feel free to move with the rhythm of the earth, with the rhythm of the music. Oh, choir, you're great! How about that royal purple, huh? Not that, Pam, you're a ham. Oh, God, life was meant to be fun. It was meant to be free, so free that we could give ourselves completely to every moment that we're in and just feel free about that. Getting into the rhythm of life. I think that's what I want to talk to you about this morning. Getting into the rhythm of life. Getting into such freedom to be and express and to give from who we are. Life's meant to be fun. It's meant to be fun. It is. It was meant to be fun. It's such a beautiful day today. When you get ready to leave here, I want you to go home and grab somebody and go to a park somewhere and have some fun. Roll in the grass, seesaw, swing. Do something else that feels as good as it felt here today. Take your favorite music, whatever it is. Take it out there with you. Wiggle a little bit. That's what it means to be holy. Wiggle a little bit. I used to think it was like this. Actually, what I want to talk to you about this morning is, when things get tight and we're just like this and we're afraid to move. Have you ever felt that way? Things get so bad and so tight you don't know what to do. And it seems to dam you up completely. And the freedom that we just felt here, and the rhythm and the flow and everything, you feel totally restricted. You know about that? You ever had that? What needs to happen when we feel that way? Give way so that we're not all bound in chains anymore. This is the greatest cosmic law that we are governed under. Is this giving way, this wiggling, this moving forward, this being willing to just express and give of ourselves and give of ourselves and give of ourselves and give of ourselves. And it feels good when we're giving of ourselves. And you know why it feels good when we're giving of ourselves? Because giving is part of the nature of who we are. Scripture tells us that God is love. And then Scripture tells us that we are created in the image and the likeness of love, of God. And as I think about love, it's not a stagnant thing. It's not something that stands still. It's something that is always giving of itself and giving of itself and giving of itself again. And the moment we try to rein it in and hold on to it, we go into misery, don't we? God is always, 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 always giving to us. And giving, and giving, and giving. And God doesn't know how to do anything else but to give. And we, as children of God, created in the image and the likeness, must also be giving. And that is the greatest gift that we can give God, is giving, because when we do that, then that opens us up to receive. And then as we're receiving, we give it out again. And as we receive, we give it out again. We don't stand still with it. A river with no outlet becomes becomes stagnant and everything in it dies. Is there anything that feels uptight in your life? Is there anything that's reflecting any kind of lack? Is there any place in your life that there might be a little bit of inharmony? Then something's got to give in order to bring you back into the free flow so that you have an outlet to let go. And the moment you can do that, the whole world changes, and so does your life. I love watching this choir come together. You know, they don't just get up here on Sunday and do this. It takes practice, doesn't it, choir? Now tell me, do you have fun in practice? Yeah. You would. This choir has become an outlet for you to give, hasn't it? An outlet for you to express. And something happens inside of you that you can't really tell anybody about. It's just something you feel, isn't it? This incredible joy that comes over as you're giving yourself in a commitment to allow the voice of Spirit to sing through you and to come together. You know, choir is much more than just singing. It's a family unit coming together of people that love each other and love what they're doing. How are you giving? What kind of outlet is going on in your life? Do you have one? I hope so. Especially if things are tight for you right now, you need an outlet to give. So I'm going to send you home with an assignment this week. Find an outlet to give, especially if anything's tight or not in the flow of abundance and love and joy and all that you know to be true about love in action, which is what you are. You are love, created in the image and likeness of love itself. And love gives because it can't help itself. And anytime it finds something or some place where it can't be given, it's going to be in pain. It's the nature of who we are. I'll read you a little story. In 2 Kings, it's one of my very favorite stories. 2 Kings chapter 4. Now the wife of one of the sons of the prophets cried to Elijah, "Your servant, my husband, is dead. And you know that your servant feared the Lord, but the creditor has come to take my 2 children to be his slaves." This lady's got a problem. The creditors are after her. She doesn't have any money. She doesn't know how she's going to pay her bills. Things are tight. She's lost her husband. Can you imagine? And Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you?" And then he doesn't even give her time to answer. He says, "Tell me, what have you in the house?" And she said, "Your maidservant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil." And then he said, "Well, I'll tell you what. Go outside and borrow vessels of all your neighbors, empty vessels and not too few, and then go in and shut the door upon yourself and your sons, and pour into all of these vessels. And when one is full, set it aside." So she went from him and shut the door upon herself and her sons. And as she poured, they brought the vessels to her. When the vessels were full, she said to her sons, "Bring me another vessel." And he said to her, "There's not another." And then the oil stopped flowing, and she came and she told the man of God, which is Elijah, and he said, "Now I tell you what you do, honey. You go and you sell all that oil, and you pay your debts, and you and your sons can live on the rest." What a wonderful story of being uptight. But what did she have to do in order to get things flowing again? First of all, he said, "What have you in the house?" You know what house is symbolic of for us metaphysically? What have you in your consciousness? What have you in your heart? What is in the inner temple of you that you have to give? And if you look up oil in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, you'll find that oil is symbolic of love. That each one of us has love in our house to give in some way. And we need to find an outlet through which we can give that. She was instructed to go and borrow empty vessels of others, to find a way of giving her love to others that would help get her mind off her problem, shut the door on your problem, and get out and start giving. And that's what she did. And the minute she did that, what happened? She had more than enough. Because that opened her up to the nature of who she was, of who she is. And that's what happens to us when we find outlets to give. Folks, let me tell you something about this law that we are governed under. This law of giving and receiving business. That's the basic law that has us. And we cannot step outside that law. We can't change that law. That law, it works for everybody alike. In the measure that you give, do you receive? And if you're not giving, you're not going to be able to receive. That's just how simple it is. And if things are tight for you and you feel like everything is being wrenched loose, you're functioning under the result of negating this spiritual law on some level. Something's got to give. It's not that we should give, but because we are governed by this incredible, beautiful spiritual law, we will give. And if we try to hold on in any capacity, whether that's emotional or physical or in any way, we try to hold on to anything, what happens? War gets taken away. And sometimes we feel like there's a God out there taking all this stuff away from us, don't we? Not so. The law says you will give in some capacity. So it behooves us to find out what it is in our lives that we're holding on to, that we've got real stiff about, that we're so protective of, and we're not giving in some way. Some of us, it's our money. How many of us, and I won't ask for a show of hands, seem to be okay in giving everything but our money away, and yet all of a sudden, I mean not all of a sudden, but it seems like everything seems to be working except in our finances. This law will not be mocked. If we hoard our money, it will be taken away. And if you don't believe me, try it. How many of us have sat down to pay the bills, and then there's not enough? And so we get into the mind frame that, oh my God, there's not enough here, and I certainly don't have any to give away or tithe this month. I've got to pay these bills. And so we get into that fear, don't we? We're holding on, we're tenacious. And then it seems like more bills come in, and there's not enough money. That's the time when we need to find somebody or something to give our money to, is when it's the tightest for us. And it's not that God's taking it away. It's that we are governed by a law in our hearts that says, beloved, you just got to give. Something's got to give. Every Butterworth is what it says that. He says, when things get tight, something's got to give. You know, we try all kinds of gimmicks and stuff to work with in making our lives full. And I think I don't like the word gimmicks, but we use all kinds of tools to work with to help make our lives more full. And I think they're all good. We talk about affirmations and denials and holding the truth and visualizing our good and all of this. This is wonderful because thoughts held in mind do produce after their kind. But if we're not real careful, it's things like that lock us into a consciousness which is out to get. And that is not in alignment with the nature of who we are. The nature of who we are is to give. God gives. And God could care less whether anything returns. And it's when we align ourselves with His giving, because it's the nature of who we are, and it just feels doggone good. And we give of our time, we give of our service, we give of our love, we give of our listening ear, we give of our money, we give of everything, because it feels good to give because it's who we are. And yes, because the law will not be mocked, you're going to receive in return what you give. That's true. But it's time now that we let that all go, because that keeps us locked into what I call karmic law, and not into the fulfillment of the law, which is grace, which, you know what Unity's definition of grace is? It's that aspect of divine law that doesn't deal in just even exchange. What I'm giving out there, I'm getting back. As long as we hold that, then we're just going to be locked into that. What is in it for me? What is in it for me? What is in it for me? That's not the highest aspect of giving. Grace is that aspect of divine law that doesn't deal in even exchange living, but in the increase of good through greater giving. The increase of good through greater giving. This is the consciousness that Jesus Christ walked in the earth with. He didn't teach the law so that we could get in return. He taught the law because that's the way it is. What He did teach was grace, to help us understand that we forgive, because forgiveness is what love is all about. That is love in action. We give of our time, we give of our service, because that is who we are. That is love in action. Not to be programmed in the mind of what's in it for me in return. The gift is in the giving of itself. And then the windows of heaven open and pour forth blessings so incredibly beautiful that there may not be enough room for us to receive it. This law holds true on every level. For instance, if you are in a relationship and there's inharmony there, the moment you decide to give your heart and your ear and your compassion to that relationship without the need to be right, from a real sincere heart, coming from the love that you are, if you will give that, then that love is so powerful that it will break up anything that is being held between you like this. It always works, and it just takes one to do that. Try it. Go home. If you're having problems in any kind of relationship, you'll be the one that something gives, and that something is the love of who you are. You'll be the one. And even if they don't respond, you know what's going to happen to you, don't you? Now that you're back into the flow. You got things tight with your money? Try tithing for a change. Tithing is not a spiritual law. You do know that, don't you? Tithing was a law imposed on the people at the time. It was a required tax for them to pay. But you know what tithing is? Tithing is an opportunity, as an outlet for us to move into the mode of giving. If you want money in your life, then it's necessary to give your money. Try it. I've never met an ex-tither who tithes from love that it didn't work. The beautiful part is that tithing returns to you abundance and abundance and abundance, not only in the money that you're giving, but it may return to you in fields in which you have not sown. And that's true in every other kind of giving. Yes, you're going to get money in return because that's the cosmic law. Now, I'm teaching that from principle, but that's not what I'm here to teach. I'm here to teach that if we're holding on to anything, and money seems to be a big one for most of us these days, if we're holding on to anything, it's going to be usurped. It's going to be taken away. Now, I could care less where you tithe. I just want to help you understand the principle. I don't care whether you tithe to the Baptist church or to a good community project. I would hope you would tithe to this one. I mean, after all, aren't you being fed here? Aren't you? Yeah. Well, if you go to McDonald's, aren't you going to pay McDonald's and not Hardee's? But the point is, I'm here to teach you what a wonderful outlet tithing is if things are tight for you. And And to take a look at it, if you're afraid to let go of your money, what have we done? What have we done? We're afraid to let go of our money in any way. It needs to flow freely in everything, not only tithing, but giving and spending. Examine your life, beloved, and find out what area we need to give in. And then give in that area, whatever it may be. Where are we locked? Where are we holding on? Where is there fear involved that if I let this go, there won't be enough? Or if I open myself in my heart, I'm going to put myself in a vulnerable position. You will be vulnerable. You'll be vulnerable to love. You'll be vulnerable to the increase of good through greater giving that grace guarantees. Grace is the fulfillment of the law. And as we give from this greater space, the world opens up to us. We are real excited here at Unity Church of Dallas about what John's been talking about. Every Sunday he gets up and he talks about this wonderful family feeling, and we hope that you feel welcome here. And to all of our first-time visitors today, may I please say, I hope you feel welcome here. I hope you feel like I did the first time I walked into a Unity Church, and that was that I'd come home. This was a family. This was an outlet for me to give and to serve. And we have so many outlets here. We have so many empty vessels that we are seeking to help fill. And we are seeking to implement an incredible volunteer program to give you the opportunity to serve in some way. And this is the Sunday that we wanted to tell you about that. We're very excited about it. I sent Laura Morgan and Jane Fitch up to the Unity Church in Overland Park a couple of weeks ago so that they could see what I have been talking about, the incredible gift in giving and how they have opened that church up to a volunteer program that is absolutely incredible. They have 3 services there. The sanctuary is much, much smaller than this one. And they reach about 1,200 people every Sunday. Do you know how many volunteers they have? 900 volunteers serve in that church. It's the most incredible program. It's the fastest growing church that we have in the country. And the reason is because their purpose and their vision is to create an environment that people will have outlets to give, outlets to serve, some way that they can reach down in their hearts and pull up their gifts, their specialness, and offer it. And their lives are changing. Their lives are so changed, and they can't keep it to themselves. And so the congregation just keeps going and going and going. And I've asked Jane and Laura to come up here if they would. And just, they were so enthusiastic about what they found there and what their vision is for this church. And there's a form in your handout, in your updates today. If you want to become a part of this program, we're going to invite you to fill out. And let me let them talk to you. And I just want you to feel your energy, that's all. Here you go. Well, what did you find up there?
Well, the minute that you walk in the door, you can feel it. When Laura and I first drove up, we looked at each other, and the building itself is very, very small. And we looked at each other and said, are we in the right place? This is it. This is the great Unity Church of Overland Park. And we went in, and the energy that you feel is so incredible that you have such a warm and loving feeling the minute that you walk in the door. And you experience that in every area that you go to in the church. They're so supportive of each other, and they're so proud of each other. They are proud. The children's church is just as proud of the choir as the choir is of the children's church. And it encompasses the whole entire church, and you feel it everywhere you go. And it's the attitude that everyone in that church supports the church. It's their church. It's not the church, it's their church. And I think that that's the kind of feeling that we want to establish here. And we've been working on this program now for almost a year. We've stolen little bits and pieces of their program throughout the year, and now it's the time to really open it up, I think, and get everyone involved in what we're doing.
Okay.
Before I went up there, a friend of mine who'd already been there said to me, Laura, that church is phenomenal. The congregation owns that church. And I really didn't understand what he was saying to me until I walked in the front door. And they do own it. They are so proud of their church. You walk in the front door and they welcome you. I made a comment about the choir, and this man talked to me for 10 minutes about the choir. And I finally said, are you a member of the choir? He said, oh, no. We love our choir. They're incredible. That's what I'm inviting. Jane and I want to invite you guys to join us in this enthusiasm and own our church. We have unlimited potential here. We have incredible facilities, wonderful staff, incredible congregation. We want to invite you guys to join us in our excitement.
And there's a place on this form, read the bottom of where it says yours, something about your special gifts to share, the other, that you would call other.
Special talents and gifts I have to offer are, and we got to see this firsthand. They took us around and they showed us what other meant, and it was so incredible. I mean, we stand there and with our mouth hanging open. I know they thought we were really strange, but one of the things that they had made, someone had made a sign which was probably about 5 feet long, about 3 feet tall, and it had the word rejoice in block letters on it with different patterns, and it had light, so you plugged it in and it lit up. And it was just absolutely incredible. And for example, they have one lady who makes cookies. They have 3 services every Sunday, and they have a reception following each service. And they have one woman who makes cookies for the whole entire church every Sunday. One woman.
You think out of 900 volunteers, we could find 2 cooks.
Now, we do have a cooking club. We have about 30 people in our community cooking club that do things from time to time. But certainly no one who makes enough cookies for 1,200 people on Sunday morning every Sunday. So other can mean a lot of things.
And that's one of the things that we're looking for. You have so much other inside of you, and we don't know what it is. And there's just so much that can be given here. So much we can do. There is such a need for each one of us to become an active, a love and action part of this ministry, so that we can make room for more of those children of light who are seeking to feel part of a family unit of worship and joy on Sunday morning. Do you know how many people there are out there wanting to find a home, a church home where they can feel that they're a part of it? It's incredible. And I think with your, I know with your help and your ideas and what it is that you have to give and what you might see as a wonderful need here to fill, that can happen. So we're just encouraging you all to fill this form out. We'll give you a call. There will be some call meetings on how we can put this stuff into action and work together. And thank you very much.
Can I say one thing about the community team? The Unity community team is a very wide range of things. And I know that a lot of you may already be out in the community and volunteering for certain organizations. And what I'd like to encourage you is that you come through the church and do the same work. And what happens when you do that is that you take the Unity Church of Dallas with you into the community. You establish a support system. We can help you and support you here. And it gets our name out there. And we've done that. We have a team that does hospice work. And those people out there in the community involved with Vitas Healthcare, they know who Unity Church of Dallas is because we have made a tremendous impact on the healthcare industry in the area of hospice service. So there are a lot of opportunities for community work, which we've just barely touched the surface of. So we really could use help in that area.
Okay. Thank you. I want to share this with you in closing today. Two things, actually. This is from John 4. For here the saying holds true. One sows and another reaps. I sent you to reap that for which you did not labor. Others have labored, and you have entered into their labor. And as you find outlets for giving, you're going to get the gifts returned through that outlet, that's for sure, because that law will not be mocked. But in opening up to the giving, which is imperative, we don't have a choice in giving. It's not optional for us. And in opening up to that and giving in the fields that we are gifted in serving in, then others are out there reaping in other fields, and we're going to be blessed by that. That's the gift of grace in return. So if you're having, maybe if there's a little lack in some area of your life, and you open up to give in this area over here, you're opening yourself up to the gift of grace, which doesn't deal in even exchange, just reaping in the same field. You're opening yourself up to reap in fields that you haven't even sown. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that wonderful? I love that. That's certainly been true in my life. And then I wanted to share this with you from Spiritual Economics, written by Eric Butterworth. He says, God is the divine givingness of the universe, and you are created in the image and the likeness of this divine givingness. You cannot make any sense out of life or realize the free flow of substance in your experience until you begin to see yourself as a giver. It may mean a complete turnaround in your approach to life, where you think give instead of get. In your spiritual quest, you are seeking to establish yourself in a unitive relationship with the divine flow. You can never really achieve this level of consciousness until giving becomes the main thrust of your life. And when it does, when you discover the wonder of giving, you become unblushingly an incurable giver. Meditate long on this point, for it is one of the most important keys of the prosperity law. And that's just the way it is. So what I'd like to do for us now is to take our meditation time at the end of the service today, to go within and to meditate on and ask God to use us and to show us how we can serve, to open ourselves to that infinite wellspring of love and action. we continue to take the prayer in our heart, the prayer of this church, for the will of God to be done through us. We are gathered in the love of Jesus Christ, that name which is written in all our hearts. And just as he came and served in the earth and gave so unconditionally of the love of who he was, we ask, O Lord, that your presence and light within us reveal to us now how we may serve. Open a door, a window, an outlet. Show me where I can give and how. I seek only your will, to serve you and to love you, to be used in this earth as a blessing. Here I am, Lord. Use me. And now, beloved, let us all drop into the heart of God and listen in the stillness as love moves us to action. Accept now this great truth. I am the love of God. Love is forgiving. I am in the flow of love. Love is for living. And now feel the joy of giving and living as love flowing through your heart to mine and mine to thine. Allow this joy to carry you forward now as you go forth in the earth, to love and to serve. To love and to serve God through each other. Show each one of us now, Lord, this week an empty vessel, and how we may pour our love into that emptiness to fill it full. In the name of love we pray. To our